time to tantalize your earbuds with creative makers and shakers. It's Creative Living, the podcast with Jane Klaus.
This is Creative Living, the podcast. So here we talk about how to live your most creative life. And that not only means living creatively in the craft room, but that extends into the kitchen and the culinary worlds as well. So I am thrilled to have on the show with me a celebrity chef from MasterChef, MasterChef Junior, Top Chef Masters. He is currently a judge on Top Chef, and he's the owner and executive chef of Gideon Sweet in Chicago, world famous for his white rim glasses. And he is a gem of a person. Please welcome Chef Graham Elliott. Hi, Chefy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so great. So, Graham, you and I have a relationship and a history over coffee, right? So, first time I ever met you, you had this gorgeous, big, huge, delicious cup of coffee that you got from your favorite place, and I spilt it all over. And I still always feel so bad about that. But I'm curious, are you a light roast or a dark roast kind of guy?
I'm a dark roast. I don't understand how anyone could go light roast. It's like, I guess the gateway to the coffee or something. Like, go big, go dark, or go home.
So I just learned this like moments ago. Light roast doesn't mean it's lighter in flavor. It means that it's only been roasted lightly. And dark roast means it's more mild, less acidic, and it's roasted longer. I didn't know this.
Yeah, well, I guess if you think of it like if you put almonds in a pan and throw it in the oven and lightly toast them at 350 for a few minutes, you'll get some of that flavor, but you get a richer, greater flavor character, I'd say. Maybe it's not stronger, but the essential oils come out and you do get just a better flavor, in my opinion. So in the kitchen, all nuts, all spices, et cetera, have to be toasted, peppercorns, et cetera. So that, would carry over to coffee in my world.
Yeah, I never knew any of this. And I felt like we had this relationship over coffee. You're the only person I would want to ask, how did I not know that dark roast was more mild than light roast? I don't know. I'm very confused.
I don't know. I'm going with whatever you say, though. But I'm an easy guy, so.
You're an easygoing guy. Well, you know what? You're easygoing. You're a great guy. Ultimate inspiration, not only through cooking, but also your contagious personality. What part of your career do you love the most?
What I really enjoy now is teaching. I think when I was, younger or up and coming, it was the competitive part. Not competitive meaning TV, but I have to be the greatest young cook. I need to be a sous chef. I have to own my own restaurant and get these awards. And now, down here on the south side where my kids go to school, Morgan Park Academy, it's being able to do cooking camp during the summer. It's being able to do demos maybe in people's houses that I give away for charity, things like that, where people are so excited, they want to learn, there's kids there, and they're getting jazzed while you're showing them different ingredients. That is super rewarding. And that's why I also like the TV part, because if people are watching at home, it's one thing to cook for 6 people at their house. It's another to cook in front of 3 to 4 million and get them inspired. So, I never take it for granted. That's my favorite part.
I love that. So the inspiration part is what really moves you. And I think, you're inspiring kids, you're inspiring people just sitting on the couch watching you to say, well, maybe I can try making that. As a Navy brat growing up, who inspired you to cook?
It's interesting. I always, because of that moving around, was exposed to different cuisines, different types of food. Lived in the Philippines, Hawaii, California, all over. And my dad was also a diver, so he'd go and pull all these crazy critters out of the ocean and bring them home, and we'd eat them up. And so it wasn't steak and potatoes. It wasn't the, stirring tomato sauce with grandma from Italy, at the stovetop growing up. It was mac and cheese out of a blue box a lot when, my mom's cooking and my dad's gone on a ship for months. Or it's, eating crazy abalone just pulled out of the ocean that we cooked up. So ran the gamut, but I was always a super adventurous kid, not just with food, but with everything in life. And the idea that, you could eat pickled pig's feet in the South, or you could eat snails and frog legs in France, or, any of those things, I was the guy that was like, oh, my God, that's the coolest thing in the world. I got to do this.
That's so cool. Is there anything as a kid that you didn't want to try, or was it all interesting? Like you got, sauerkraut and pig's knuckles that you're like, yeah, I'll try it.
Yeah, had to try it.
You did?
And I remember, and we didn't have money growing up, so we went to a restaurant and, there was a dish with like calamari and octopus, and I was, maybe 8 or 9. I said, I have to get that. And my dad was like, no, because I'm not going to get it for you and you don't like it and I wasted money on it. Like, get something that you'll like. But finally he gave in and I ate it and I thought it was amazing that I was eating like giant squid, in a dish. So, I've just always been really excited and attracted to the weirder, crazier element as far as ingredients and things like that go. So that's kind of driven, again, not just how I am in the kitchen, but life in general, whether you see how people paint or write or play music. I love that. If it's not broken, break it. Try to do some new things.
Yeah, you're kind of like a disruptor then. And I say that in a good way, meaning like you said, if it's not broken, break it. And that means try it and try it and try it until you actually blow it up and make it into the next great thing. Yeah,
I read somewhere where someone said, it's not about pushing the envelope, it's about tearing it up. And I thought, look at how certain musicians will go in, like the Beatles or Hendrix and record a guitar part backwards or strum something, string the guitar upside down, or, do things in different ways. And I always figured the same deal. There's no reason that food or a restaurant or the cuisine you do can't be as expressive as those other artistic outlets. Whatever your medium is. I could do a carrot and pickle it, juice it, roast it, turn it into carrot cake. Any of these iterations, and they're just as delicious and beautiful because it's what nature gives you, and you're turning it into something. And that's, again, you never, ever stop learning or getting excited when you view things that way.
Yeah, and so in the craft room, I always say you can't make a mistake because any mistake turns into the next greatness and creativity.
Exactly.
Is that the same thing in the kitchen?
Yeah, and it's also, if you have that mindset, then you never make mistakes. So, like you made me that amazing Cubs apron. Say that you accidentally sewed it all wrong and the part that goes around your neck was like on the bottom. You could be like, actually it's new and I'm such an artist. You put your legs through that part.
Right.
And then tie a string around your back and it's really just cool.
And nobody would even know.
Never.
Yes.
So I could burn the hell out of something and then I just puree it and I'm like, this is a really toasty sauce that adds like a bitter note to pair with the sweetness of the scallop. So enjoy.
I love that. So do you think that most chefs out there's a lot of chef shows, right? So we are, I'm obsessed with watching every chef show there is on TV. And then there's also Chef's Table, which they're using all sorts of unique ingredients and they're featuring chefs from all over the world, which I personally think you need to be on. And if you are, you can tell us now.
Which one is this?
The Chef's Table.
No, I haven't done it.
You got to do it. I mean, you got to be profiled. You're like the perfect guy. But they use all these unique ingredients, and you're just everything that you do is unique and fun and exciting. What's the craziest ingredient you've ever used in a dish anywhere?
Oh man, I guess what's crazy to one person is normal to another. Mm-hmm. So I've had snake. I've had balut, which is a chicken egg where the chicken's actually still in there, but it's dead, and crack it open and eat it. I've had frog when I lived in the Philippines. I've had, like I mentioned, everything out of the ocean. All kinds of stuff. So I love the idea that food can expose you to different cultures, religions, things like that, and there is no right or wrong. So if somebody's eating dog somewhere in Asia, and they have a pet pig, and we're eating a pig and have a pet dog, like, why would one be more acceptable than another?
Right.
Yeah. Or if you're keeping kosher, you don't eat, shellfish, but somebody over here is paying $40 for a lobster tail. So I think that that's the kind of stuff that the more you travel and see and talk to people and read about cuisine and food and history, like when you talk about slavery in the South, and you realize that, the master's getting like the gorgeous rack of pork, and then the slaves are getting intestines and things like that. Nobody wakes up and says, I feel like eating a giant bowl of pig intestines. But if you realize I can clean them and braise them and chop them up and make them spicy and this and that, they're going to be tasty. And again, that's what I think. You strip down all the borders and different things, and it makes everyone really on the same page. And that's the stuff, like I said, when cooking and teaching and sharing that mindset, that's what's exciting to me.
Yeah, I love that. And sort of like you're talking about the intestines, there's a certain amount of creativity that needs to go into making those delicious, and having you wake up and go, hey, I had that last night. I think I'm going to have the leftovers because it was so good. Why do you think, and maybe it's not now more than ever, maybe cooking and the culinary arts have always been creative, but do you feel like cooking is more creative now more than ever? Or has it always been creative and now the spotlight is just being shined on it?
No, I think it's definitely, people are more accepting of chefs as artists and pushing the envelope, where it's kind of like, I was at the Art Institute the other day, and you're looking at art, and I used to be very excited about more of the modern art and the movement, with pop art, things in the 50s, 40s, whether it's Pollock, Lichtenstein, things like that, and was not as excited as, when I was looking at some of the old masters. And now I've kind of flipped that, where it's like, okay, well, anyone can really splatter paint and do things like that, not taking away from it, but there's no way that I could paint the way that Raphael or, Leonardo or any of these other guys did. So I respect that. And I think it's similar with food, where it could be a gorgeous roasted chicken with fingerling potato, confit, and roasted garlic. But a lot of people now can go home and just make that. So they want to go to an Alinea or somewhere and see floating food and stuff that they have no clue where it's from, because that's another emotion that's getting hit, and it's super exciting. Whereas before it might have been, that's not food. I want, my salmon and my well-done steak, and that's it. And so I think it's totally flipped, and a lot of it is the youth and, the millennial movement. Like at our restaurant, Eating Sweet, people come in, take pictures, post immediately while they're there, commenting on it. They'll come back in a week to try some new things. It's not the people that come in and just want the same food all the time.
Right, like the steak and potato type of person. And you're right, because now with social media, food is art.
Yeah.
People are
that's an amazing part that you see from, chefs and foodies and diners and bloggers and influencers, all these things you want to call it. And I know a lot of chefs that, rail against it. That's ridiculous, and the food's cold now, and it's just what it looks like. But at the end of the day, reality prevails, and that is what it is. And it's kind of like a band that will fight against putting its music on Spotify and streaming it because they want you to just buy the album. After 10 years of losing money, you realize I have to do this because this is the world right now. And whether you like it or not, that's the deal. So I think it's similar to food. People want to eat with their eyes and be excited by that and photo it and prove that they were there. It's exciting. It's fun if you embrace it.
Yeah, I love that too. And it's an interesting way to look at it. The chef can be insulted because, hey, my food's getting cold. But at the same time, you can be praised and you can be appreciated because you're like, hey, my food's getting shot and it's being posted out into the world to see because everyone's so proud that they're eating it. Like that's a really great way to look at it. Graham, you have a movie that you've told me before inspired you and a lot of other chefs to be creative, and that movie is Willie Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yes, absolutely. I think that one perfectly captures this idea that we're talking about, where you're looking at things in a completely different way, from the edible wallpaper that you lick to being turned upside down, going through the small door, and then it's a giant space, and being able to, one part that I absolutely love is drinking out of the butter cup and then eating the cup. Things like that, absolutely make you see things differently. And I love that, how much, Gene Wilder was incredible, but also how, it was very Dali-esque, right? You go into his office and there's a clock that's cut in half, and a half of a mannequin face holding his hat, like things that are just really quirky and weird. And the book is not really like that, right? The book's kind of dark, and you see the movie. So whoever put that together, the boat scene where there's just the most bizarre, images being shown on the sides, and they go through this horrible tunnel, and then they come out light at the end of the tunnel, and it's this beautiful chocolate river. Things like that. I know that it looks, chefs look at it in a certain way where they're like, I could do something just as fun. I could really, make something out of nothing and make it cool.
That's so cool, because I feel like the interpretation then of what was put into that movie sort of like is kind of a before its time sort of movie, because you look at all the quirky stuff, you look at how they're utilizing colors and flavors and telling the story. Now, me as just a kid watching it, I'm like, oh, I want to turn into eat a whatever, a blue, what is it called, the blue people?
The Oompa Loompas.
Yeah, I want to be an Oompa Loompa. But you looking at it as this creative culinary kid, you're like, oh man, I love the River of Chocolate. And you're seeing different ways to get creative from that.
Right.
I think we all need to go back and watch that movie.
I think so too. Just the part where, you're looking at this really interesting crossroads now of art and science, where you've got things that are sous vide, cooked in an immersion circulator. You add this, different chemical, hydrocolloid that helps bind it, and then, you can glue the meat together, like all these crazy things that people weren't doing before. That, you call it molecular gastronomy or anything else, but it's just another bag of tricks that you can do to your food. And when you look at an everlasting gobstopper, when you look at, all the little things here and there, take a bite of this and it'll taste like your appetizer, then your entree, then your dessert. Chefs, you get off on that. They love it. It's the most exciting thing. And there's always a contest of who can be the most creative, which makes all of us want to be better.
That's so cool. Yeah, one time I had a hot dog, but it was actually a dessert. So it looked like a hot dog, but the bun was like shortcake, and the hot dog was some sort of strawberry encased in something. It was really cool.
Yeah, I think that, that's what I'm saying. I love to take dishes that people have had and put a twist on it. So, my mom made stroganoff growing up, and it was cream of mushroom soup and ground beef and egg noodles, and I still love it. But I can do, homemade spätzle and truffle puree, whipped creme fraiche, and 8-hour braised short rib. You close your eyes and taste it. You get those memories, but it's done, the best way possible. So I love doing things where there's a reference point, maybe it's youth or travel or whatever it is, but it's very, very visceral and hits you again on an emotional level, not just on your palate.
I can listen to you talk about food all day, but I want to switch gears. Really, I can. I want to switch gears and ask you, I know you're very creative. You do a lot of photography, right? Outside of the kitchen. Yeah. What are some of the other things? You're creative every day, but you have so many hobbies.
I used to sing and play guitar in a band. That's what I wanted to do, and food was a hobby, but that flipped. And, I do like to write. I do, some of the most horrible, pathetic poetry, which, is Mr. Emo, Morrissey-esque kind of guy.
I love it. And, where's the book?
Yeah, I like to dress up. I love to dance, all these types of things. So, I do try to get the most out of life, and obviously that's a challenge sometimes. You can get kind of moody, and in Chicago, as great as a city as it is, there are sometimes when it gets cold or it gets a little gray. So, you fight that kind of stuff.
Right, doing some other creative things, adding a little spark of a splash of color in your life. I kind of do the same thing when it's dark and gray outside, and you got to figure out what to do. I have a tendency to go into the kitchen and start cooking because that's where I feel the most creative. Talk about your time on Top Chef. I'm obsessed with this show. It's season 16, right?
Yes, isn't that amazing? So right now we're doing Colorado. We're getting close to the finale.
I know.
And we just announced last week that the new season coming up is going to be in Kentucky.
Oh, great. A lot of bourbon being used in the food, huh?
A lot of bourbon. It's an exciting state, not just Louisville, but, Lexington and just all around that area. It's awesome. And, my stepbrothers live there, and, they know all about it, so I'm sure they're going to come and join. It's like a 4-hour drive from Chicago, so I'm psyched.
I want to come and visit the set when you're on and you guys are watching. Oh, maybe I can be someone in the background when you're doing one of the buffets.
Yeah, you got to be a guest diner on one of the challenges. Okay. So my wife Allie and the boys are going to come too. They want to do all that. So
that is so fun. Graham, before I let you go, I have just a couple more questions. You are a role model because of what you do, because of your platform, because of, how you're out there in the world. How do you hope to inspire others with your message?
For me, it's, like we've been talking about, how to view food differently, how to be creative, how to, eat healthy, and healthy meaning things that are simple, delicious, and people know right from wrong as far as, sugar and fat intakes and things like that. But trying to get out more, trying to spend time with your wife and kids as much as you can, because I think that's extremely important for me, especially with my upbringing and travel and my dad working a lot. And as a chef, half my life's on the road, so you try to do the quality versus quantity. So, as a whole, as a dad, husband, leader in the restaurant, personality on television, and what have you, all of those kind of come together and make you want to be a better person.
And by that, other people can just seek to be a better person. Quick laundry list, 3 words, your top 3 ingredients to living creatively.
To living creatively, not deliciously. So deliciously, you would say olive oil, Parmesan, and, maybe sea salt. I think that those 3, or some kind of mustard. I think those are amazing, and they turn every single dish into something delicious. As far as creativity goes, that would be a hard one. I would say potatoes, eggs, and I don't know. The other would have to be like a giant question mark, and you can give me anything, and I'll turn it into something. That's a strong point, is being able to open the fridge or go to the store or the market and find a way to turn an ingredient into like 1,000 different things based on the weather and spontaneity and however you're feeling at that moment, Maybe you just listen to a song and it makes you psyched and stirred some memories, and now you want to look at it this way.
Yeah, you cook to the music. One of my favorite things I like to do is go in the refrigerator and cook with leftovers. And then when the leftovers are gone, one of the things I tried one time was to cook with every single thing in the refrigerator till it was all gone. Like, you can't go to the grocery store. You have to use everything. I didn't do it.
Right.
I couldn't do it. Could you do it?
I think that there's a way. And, again, you need to deconstruct the dish. So say you made a pot roast. It's got carrots and potatoes and maybe some parsnips and the braised meat, and you got this broth. What do? How do you take some of that veggie and puree it, and then take the meat and fold it into some pasta and make little raviolis and reduce that jus and drizzle it over the top? Now you've utilized every part of it. There's things like that. I think the go-to is always, how do you make it into a sandwich? But, you can really take any food and smash it between 2 pieces of bread and then call it that. But how do you really go to the next level? And a lot of it depends on how much time you have and how much effort you want to put into it.
Effort is the key right there. Okay, so we're going to live deliciously. Olive oil, Parmesan, mustard. We are going to be watching you and all the places that you're at. We're going to visit your restaurants. Graham Elliott, I owe you a coffee. Thank you so much. You are so great. I love your ways of sharing your creative life.
Well, thank you. And you as well. We didn't even talk about all of the great things that you do. And you inspire the same way, right? The way you approach things makes me want to learn how to use a hammer and nail and sew and all these other things, because I have no clue how to do anything when it comes to outside of the kitchen.
Well, we'll trade secrets. We can absolutely do that. But this was all about you. So thank you so much. You're awesome. I can listen to you talk about your life, creativity, and all of the cool things that you do. I think you should write a book, and then we can talk about that next.
Deal. Memoirs.
Memoirs of Graham Elliott. I love it. We'll start really early on when you're on the ship, and then I want to hear about the part when you got the white rim glasses too.
Done. That's when it all changed.
You're the best. Thanks, Graham.
Live better, creatively. For more inspiration, visit janeklaus.com. Thank you for listening.